Hi guys, I'm back with another pick a card reading. I'm hoping it's not way too bright with the sun out. It's like right next to my window where I'm doing the reading. So I'm hoping it's not too bright. Today I'm doing about the impact you have on the collective. So this can be like more literally, like with the work that you're doing. Other people will be more, how do I say it, like, doing spiritual work, impacting people directly on a spiritual level. Or there's others that do more like 3D work, like working in healthcare and stuff, which still helps people, like teachers and, in all different ways that we help. But I see it more like on the network of all of us connected together, like the impact of people around you and collectively, like how you influence and stuff. Yeah, well, I'm gonna say that, but also like whatever comes in the reading, go along with it. It's kind of like a positive like boost to anyone that feels like they're not doing enough. Yeah. So I'm gonna get started with pile one. I've got the image up already on my phone. So again, I've got like an image from my tarot. And this is the Magician, Mage. And already I feel like with this, this particular version that I did, it's someone that is themselves, like authentic in themselves. And there may be something, ooh, the sun's gone in a bit, that is against the norms. So you're teaching people to rise up and have a stronger sense of self-worth, to truly like fight for other people, the underdogs, the people that have less, but to put the power in their hands to deprogram themselves from all the negative self-beliefs that we've been internalizing for generations. The shame of being queer, or the lack with, having brown skin, the undesirableness, and like helping people rise to their real beauty within, like to see the beauty and see their worth, to like dig it up from the root, from the ground, where it uproot it. So it's, I'm not denying, like privilege is a big part of this, because it is. But there's also, it can be harder for people of color and to deprogram from these ideas that we have, perceptions that we have, of feeling safe. I'm trans and safety has been a big thing for me. And feeling beautiful and feeling worthy is something that I have really struggled with too, of being desirable. And when I have that insecurity with myself, it's always like for me mirrored in my life in like romantic connections, or even like words from people that will say. And yeah, I feel like with this pile, you may have like dealt with this, or you help people with this, even both, like it kind of goes hand in hand, because I feel like when I see it in someone else, it's, I want them to big them up too. I wouldn't want them to feel the way that I have before. But for other trans people, I want them to feel beautiful too, like to help them realize how beautiful they are and gifted they are. And yeah, I feel like we bring something new, a new way. And, we have a lot of trans people coming out at this moment in time. And like, you don't need to be trans or anything, but maybe just like a different, your niche. But the way that people, are coming out trans more and non binary, it's like it's really like in a way that helps us all, like gives us more space to be ourselves, to be more, it redefines and makes it bigger of like what is a woman, what is a person, what is a human. Because, when we take away like what is a woman and what is a man, and there's really limitless space, like options of, different varieties of these people and non-binary people, you know, what am I? And I feel like it's in the state of like bringing more spirit into our human bodies, in my feeling, like how I feel intuitively, bringing more spirit into my body where I'm like, actually, my spirit is genderless because it's not human, right? And bringing it more and more in. And it feels like it can be very, yeah, expansive energy. And I feel like this energy of like bringing in really expansive energy, like new energy, because you opened your mind to things that people possibly can be more closed-minded to, or like, how people like learn from spiritual teachers, but neglect to self, reflect, or yeah, to see how does this fulfill my body? Is this true for me? Is this true for us? Like in what ways in this generations of the old were they, rooted in prejudice or skewed their vision because of, their beliefs in their time? And I feel like it's a dance of, respecting tradition as well, of course, and but then like making it more adaptable and open to, to disabled people, people of color, and trans people, queer people, for everyone, that it makes it more wonderful in the sense where it expands to everyone, like inclusive, and like where it's so undefinable, it's not black and white. And I feel like it's like the rainbow, like you see in the image. And I really feel like connected with the angels here, like representative of all like the rays of the rainbow. So you may have like a deep connection with the angels, or feel like queer, like a rainbow, really. An indigo child, star seed. It could be like autism, like on the spectrum, or it could be LGBT, or just like someone that's very, has friends that are LGBT and they're comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them, and you analyze yourself as well when you're like, in a way, like your healthy masculinity or healthy, yeah, healthy masculinity, and like just feeling the way you express yourself is healthy. Like if you are someone that's heterosexual and cisgender, it's in a way where you've done the work, where it doesn't, intimidate you to be seen as gay, or, you're really in touch with yourself. And you could be even so like pioneering for men or women, right? To be open to a new way of, expressing womanhood or manhood, or like, being mono-binary, or, however you identify. Like it's not so like pigeonholed, like not following the rules as, it's been dictated before. And it feels like that could be like in spirituality too, like the way you approach it and is in a very different way that you talk about it. Like it's inclusive of all. It's not just like, a lot of the time it can be a hierarchy of like a guru or a spiritual leader. And it's like this energy of like making it approachable for people on the ground who especially really need it, who are actually really struggling, and taking into account like the privileges of society. Feels like of capitalism, and I've like forgotten the word, like decolonization. It feels like a lot of like deconstruction of the mind. and like reprogramming and like really getting on the ground with people that really need it. Spiritual in a way that's accessible, rooted and grounded, not just for people that are privileged enough to access it, and it's true for a lot of cases. Some people like are working so hard, just to, get a roof over their head. They don't have the safety as well, like they don't have a house even. You're giving people like that a means as well, where you're, in a way, I feel, helping people like get the tangible help that they need. It feels like that as well, like activism, donation, or volunteering. Feels like on the grounds and very like a vocal energy, like standing up, not being silent. For this energy is what's coming up as well, like the people the activists that actually rooted for Palestine, who have been imprisoned. And it feels like with other, spiritual leaders that have been imprisoned for fighting for what's true, for what's right. And even like Yeshua comes to mind of this pile. We like to talk about Yeshua, Jesus, but in the way that he was with the minorities, he stood with, the poor and the people that, were that had less access to everything. He was more connected to like the root of spirituality, of helping and love, and it being like really connected to the heart. Feels Aquarian as well. And talk about the collective and like the activism and like the fairness, like not equality is equity, like actually being fair. Mm. I feel like pioneers coming to mind, visionary. And it feels like very connected to ancestors with the feathers. I really feel ancestral here. I feel like I see that Statue of Liberty, of the pose. Or like the Olympics I'm seeing as well, for some reason. You could be like a painter or creative in some way. So we've also got like Mercury, and we've got, I feel, Aries as well with like number 1. We've got 8, I think, of Leo. And I think of like, as I say, like, we just had the Lionsgate recently. Got Mercury, so Gemini and Virgo. In what way to influence the collective? It feels like very on the grounds, but also like with the solar plexus, of like helping people feel the confidence in themselves to, believe that they're capable of more and going after it in whatever, subject or topic that you're passionate about, or like this different niche that you're passionate about. Feels like bringing all different people from over the rainbow together. Could be like even someone that, does activism for literally everything. Like I'm thinking like for the earth, like the sea, like the different like genocides happening. For black and brown people. For LGBT like pride or like, yeah, yeah, just feel like everything, under the umbrella. Like sex workers. So I was gonna get like Tarot and see what's the influence on the collective. Pile one. What's the influence on pile one? What's the influence on pile one? They have collective. What's the influence on the collective? Pile one. I just wanted one card. I just really wanted to come out. What's the impact on the collective? Yeah, we've got like the Five of Swords in reverse with the Three of Swords in reverse. So SI. And we've got Justice. No, Judgment, should I say. And we've got the Three of Cups upright. So we've got Don't Do Shit in reverse. With this in reverse. And I just feel like the energy of like there's someone that's like we're talking about activism or like speaking up for yourselves, like don't do shit. It's more like this thing of, these a scenario of like walking away from these scenarios that you felt like helpless in, that you had no one like standing up for you, like no support, especially if like it's everyone against you and you're a minority, you literally have no rights, and it's in reverse. Don't do shit in reverse. And I just feel like it's someone an energy like of helping people actually take a stand. That like, you should be doing that. Like that it's not okay. That it's not okay for people to take advantage. I feel like lawyers, in a way, lawyers that like free lawyers or people that don't pay or like help people that are really struggling or in this. Yeah, like help people, like even with people's documents, like with immigration, like help people, like, you see injustice and you fight against it. And you help people like in these really helpless places. You wipe those tears and get outside. I just feel like, give people a second chance, who are literally at the deepest, darkest place. Could be even with trauma and like abuse into any kind, like people that help them. It's very on the ground. Like give people, even like with hospital, I feel, you wipe the tears, like you give them like a second, like hope, hope. And it feels very, connected to the angels, where, they call it up on you. They're volunteers in the world, an earth angel, one of the workers. You're an angel in people's lives. When people are begging for help, a house, or support, you'll be directed as the answer. And we got the Three of Cups, like the celebration of people coming together. You're like, the joy in the dark times. You bring the joy, with like someone coming over, like, and from like an immigrant, you'd make them feel so welcome and celebrated for all the wins of them coming over, for being alive, for being for being there. So you'd celebrate their birthday. And it's also clarified by the, what the card, their arms crossed. And I just feel like this perception of people that feel, that people really going for a hard time, that should be, really miserable and struggling. And I feel like the same people with the 3 cups, but there you are sharing it. You're not like, this feels like greed as well, you're not hoarding it all to yourself, like some people do, or like the billionaires, or like, people really wealthy may seem to, perceive you as, or want you to be defeated. You share your resources, you share your celebrations, share your joy, and you spread it, and you celebrate your friends in the community. And this feels like, an energy of like someone that's, watching or not a part of it. And hoarding, insatiable, and like bored and trying to hoard more and more. Like this is not enough. Where you got 3 cups and you're sharing, and you've got more than enough, more than the world. Because you're so connected to the heart and like the true. It feels whole, like wholeness, like you're a whole being, connected to your purpose and connected to spirit. And I don't think it's like you don't cry or you don't get upset. There's not times, where it goes wrong. It just feels like you're not giving up for the people that really need you. In what ways do you help the collective? You help root people, you give them a chance. Let them believe in miracles. You want them to believe in miracles, where you are the miracle for them. And then you want more for them. You don't want them to just survive, you want more. And it's not about you. You don't make it about you. You're an earth angel sent here. Like deep compassion and empathy. Like lots of fire and water, I feel. With like deep passion and anger in a way that's rooted, channeled. You don't suppress your spirituality. You don't suppress, in a sense where you're numbing yourself. You're meditating to numb, to be comfortable with something that's not, you're not using it in a way to be numb and comfortable in a place that's not for you, to keep trying to survive. You're like grounding in your spirituality, in the sense you're reinforcing your passion and you knowing that you're here for something else, that this is not big enough for you. It feels like Kali, goddess like Kali, Kalima, the destroyer, like destroying the cage, destroying breaking free, doing the really uncomfortable things, really uncomfortable work of, burning it all down. You're not doing your work to just be the same person. You're doing it to really change your whole life and take the action needed, taking the leaps, not staying still, not staying numb. Courage, lots of courage. So I'm going to leave that there. Thank you for this beautiful reading, Pile 1. Thank you. Hi, Pile 2. So you picked Yeshua, and I call it Yeshua for me, it just feels like Yeshua ever since I draw them, like the original image. So this is like digitally edited, but the original drawing, it's, you know, they have facial hair and stuff. But I don't know, I just the energy I've just kind of, yeah, associated with the image. And now it's just become like a sign for me, like this particular image. Like I have like wallpapers that come on randomly. And with this one, when it pops up, it reminds me about presence, like being present in the moment, really connected to my power, to spirit, to source, a reminder to ground, that I'm getting lost in some way, like coming back to center, to connecting back to my morals. Like if I'm compromising in some way, or like guide her enough path, like this will show up. And also, like, you know, with the Course in Miracles, the book, people might be familiar with it in this pile. Or, you know, even the Bible, maybe for some people here, but like something that you know, you may have been through Christianity and stuff, or like you looked into Yeshua and like the teachings. But anyway, like it reminds me to like, you know, check in with the book where I like going all the lessons, just a random shuffle and listen to it. Or it will remind me to sit and meditate, that there's something for me. And I feel like in the context of, you know, this reading of like the collective, like your part in it, it feels like, you know, you've got a role that's spiritual, like an actual spiritual job. You know, like other piles or other readings, it's someone that's very freely and on the ground. This one feels like very spiritually, you know, helping people, where you've got gifts, spiritual gifts in some kind, or, you know, it could be tarot. It doesn't have to be like your full thing. You could be like, you know, you do work on the grounds and you're doing work, you know, in the spiritual sense. But it feels a majority like your presence as well can be a thing where, you know, you're reminding people to be present. You know, where you say you're an artist, like you're encouraging people to connect with their spirit with presence when, you know, they're in that method of the mode of making. You know, in that, you know, when you analyze the brains of monks and you get lost, their brain just goes crazy. And like with musicians as well. And honestly, I don't doubt it with artists as well. But you get really, you know, automatic drawing and writing. It's like very automatic where you're just completely lost in it. And I know this feeling. That's why I'm using it as an example. But, you know, it could be a musician as well. You're like lost in the music and you encourage others to get lost in their passions. And that's how they really connect with their spirit. And it's a reminder. But also, like, I do feel like the spiritual path as well, where you're doing Reiki or tarot or a coach, where you're talking to people directly. Or it could even be, you know, that some people are religious here and like they have a religious practice. And it feels very open though, in the way that you're changing the ways that is being perceived before. Like it's inclusive. Like it's the real teachings, you know, really connected to Yeshua's teachings or living by Yeshua's teachings. Could even be people that were religious and now reject the church or religion or become more spiritual on the spiritual path. I think a lot of people do that. Or like they have both, like they still, you know, connect with the old traditions that they were brought up with, but make it, you know, their own. Like whatever vibes with you, really. I feel like there's no right or wrong unless, it doesn't feel right for you. It's up to you and it's not harming people. So yeah, it could be like shamanic healing. I see that as well, like bringing people into different dimensions. But it feels like with all the waves, it's like your own energy. Someone that stands with the people. The eyes feel really significant of like seeing through people. Feels like almost like disguise. Like some people here might be like, you don't dress the part or look the part. You just like dress like anyone else does. But in your eyes, you can see like how differently you're viewing the world. Like it's not a spiritual sort of thing where where like you're all dressed up and like showing off and like your whole personality is spirituality. Like being a teacher and a guru, it's like, and if it is like a teacher, it's like in the sense where you're on the ground with them and it's not about you, it's about, encouraging them to be their own teacher of themselves. Yeah, very connected to the teachings. So I'm like getting hippie vibes as well, like with the, like could be someone that's into psychedelics, does a lot of trips, or like someone that works with medicines. Yeah, I feel that as well, like plant medicines that you do the ceremonies to connect people with the plants, to connect with themselves. So some people, you could be look not eccentric, and others I feel like do, like that you really play the part or dress up for it. Yeah, I feel like energy of some people actually look like Jesus. Like some people like have like the long hair and the beard and stuff. Yeah. I feel there's energy like the nature thriving around you. Could be like gardening. You see the energy of it, like taking footsteps and like the grass is really, green and like the flowers are growing, with every foot like step you take. Feel the energy of seeing beyond the vision that we have of this void. I feel like seeing beyond the illusion, of what we are. Like when I think of unity, tapped into the energy of all us, pulsating together. Could have like really vivid dreams. I feel like it's that hippie kind of vibe I feel as well, with like only peace, no war. Like smoking a lot, like playing music a lot, like living on the road, meeting people on the road, being that people meet on the road, change their lives, their perception. So I just want to get like, how do you, you know, influence the collective? How do you, how do you influence the collective? How do you help collective? Okay, my three cards came out. So what oracle do we have? Okay. Yeah, I know. Ugh, how do they influence the collective? How do they influence the collective? Okay, so you've got like two tree poses coming out. This actually came out in reverse, and this one that's at the end of the reading, upright. We've also got the hanging caterpillar that also came out reverse. Well, three reversals here. So we've got temperance in reverse, the king, well, the steward of earth, or the king of pentacles. We've got the hangman in reverse. How do you influence the collective? Could be a yoga teacher. Could do Pilates, just came to mind. Like something with the body. It feels mindful, like a mindful practice. No, in some way, like hanging, like I know someone that said to me before that the meditation to them is pole dancing, which is, whatever connects them, which is amazing. And they would like hang and like climb, like it's just so impressive. I did classes for a bit and it's just so amazing. I feel like, yeah, someone got feet in the dirt, ground, 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 put your feet in the dirt. You could walk around like barefoot, like bare feet shoes, I'm seeing. So how do you influence the collective? How does it influence the collective spirit? It feels like through ideas, through wisdom. We've got air upright and earth reversed, and we've got temperance, king of pentacles in reverse. We've got the two of wands to clarify, and it also has like astral travels, lucid dreaming, another world, sleepers for the week. Can be someone that gets ideas in the dreams or connects with dreams, or like with mediumship, like with it in reverse, like the earth, like it being something like it looks like in a cave, looking with the light, and it just feels exploring the deep subconscious, or the spiritual hidden gifts in being the one that sees and connects with the unknown, like the dead, well, the living. I just feel like someone that lives between two worlds. You bring the wisdom from the higher realms to the people. It feels in a very, yeah, through like mediumship or channeling. It feels more subtle. When you go for a Reiki session, like you know, although we can feel it and everyone experiences it differently, there's so much going on that we can sense, but there's so much we don't have access to that you may do, or that people do have. But yeah, people put their trust in your hands for like spiritual healing. And a lot of it is, they come there and then they go out and they have to choose to integrate it themselves. They have to choose to take the steps. Choose to open up. to the healing, to believe, or not even to believe, just be open to it. And it feels like the hippie vibe as well, because you've got talk to the trees, hug a tree. So you could be like very, you have like ceremonies that can be like quite silly as well, I feel. Or like very simple, of hugging the tree, connecting with the tree, like talking to them. And people can feel like you're a bit crazy, or these perceptions of you of like it makes them feel maybe embarrassed, for hugging a tree out in public where you have like no shame. You're doing what you want to, what you're connected to do. And yeah, there's no shame there. There's just connectedness. But you've let go of that ego to care about that. And you get people, out there in their bare feet, reconnecting with the child, with spirit. And I feel like this really, like with being under the King of Pentacles in reverse, you see what lies underneath the people with a lot of power, like the wounds, like the ego. You also see like the sense of people when they have lack. It's like going into the cave and into people's subconscious and seeing how, it links to the life living they're living in the 3D. You can help change it. And it's someone that goes on journeys as well, like shamanic journeys, where people are lucid or and traveling. Like I experienced a healing before. I just remember them like going on the whole journey with their guides and seeing all these things and then telling me what they saw and experienced. And helping people in that own journey to like really uncover what's deep in the closet. And it could even be with like counseling and therapy. But there is some like link to spirituality. If it was, you're watching a reading, so you must have like some sense of spirituality to like, yeah, click on these readings. Mm. And I feel in a way like you have to be super grounded to like receive these ideas that you have. Like the more grounded that you are, the more at peace and playful you are, like the easier it is actually to access this energy, to access your guides. Like they feel really playful. It feels like to say anything about how you connect with the collective, it's like a vessel. It feels like someone that's a vessel or a channel. A channel is probably a better word for this people, like your guides who work through you, like entity, like when people say entity, it's like, ugh. Even I felt, ugh. But it's like these spiritual leaders, right? Like for Yeshua, God, like the angels. Um, Sekhmet comes to mind. Who else? Uh, like Egyptian goddess, I feel like. Kalima keeps coming in my head, so Kalima's here. Ganesha, yeah, a channel. These higher, yeah, energies like to come forth, and like star seeds. Like someone that has to be grounded. some that's even deep in their own subconscious, in their dreams. Like astral travels, like maybe it's good for some people here. Could like get hints, or your subconscious could really speak to you when you go to sleep, like Piscean, like yeah. Anything else? I might just get like one card. Okay, the oracle is open to me, so can I get how does they affect the collective? Oh wow. If that isn't spot on, look, spirits. Literally spirit. If we'd have not been talking about like for the last, what is it, 20 minutes? Someone that's really connected to spirit, and is free spirit, spirituality. And it could be even, your own spirit emitting from you in your surroundings, in your surrounding area, being the spiritual healer. Yeah, I feel like that's perfect to like leave it on. Thank you for coming. Let me leave that there. Thank you. Hi, pile free. So I'm just getting up the image on my phone to first look at, and then we'll get into some tarot. So this is about your impact on the collective. So I feel like this is like someone's got their hands on a lot of pies. That's like an immediate thing I'm feeling. Multi-talented, multifaceted. Lives outside the box. I feel like a Gemini, Aquarius. Someone that doesn't like to be put in a box. You put a lot of time and effort into like learning new things, like what you're interested in or what you're passionate about. You put all your effort in there, and you make it look effortless. And I feel like Capricorn energy here, like some people like, seem to like everything they touch is gold. There's someone that puts a lot of, all their intention to expressing themselves authentically, and putting all their heart into it, and it like blooming with their energy. Because the person is like filled with yellow light. Someone's like super powered and in their passion, in their confidence, whereas they know they're great, that they will make something great. So they pick it up and can seem really quick to others, but it's because they're putting all of their like focus into it, like presence. Like every second is meaningful, is lived. And I feel like with the rainbow, and I know there's been rainbows in others, but it just feels like someone that's an artist in some way. Like, it's like gardening here. I'm seeing like bird watching as well, which is really random. Like candle making, gardening, making soaps, dancing, making like decorations, like go on trees. I'm kind of seeing that as well. I can't remember what they're called. Like the chimes. Could be like really into crafts and like had a lot of crafts. I'm seeing someone that's got like who's ADHD and got like so much fabric or like different projects happening all at the same time. Like your style could change a lot from what you're making. You could always surprise people if you making something completely new. So really original energy. And like with this, my friend was actually inspired with this for this card. and he's a musician and like heavy Aquarius and Scorpio and an Aries rising and a lot of like 12th house placements. And I just like, such a, with like, was it synesthesia? Where you see colors with music, you see music. Someone's really connected. I think Aquarian is like the sign that's got the most musicians, but I could be wrong. Maybe like self-actualized. Feels like pioneering in a creative way. Yeah, I might go like straight into the tarot with this one. Is there anything else from this image? Yeah, it feels like it's a queer energy or autistic on the spectrum. I feel like I might have said that in a few. But honestly, it doesn't surprise me if this is my collective of people that are connecting here, like neurodivergent in some way, like creative, out of the box, like. So let's get straight into the tarot. How do they impact the collective and powerfully spirit? How do you impact the collective? Okay, how do you impact the collective? How do you impact the collective? It's quite a lot of cards. How do you impact the collective? Too many. How does it impact the collective? Wow. So the magician actually came out as well. So you could be like connected to the other magician as well, because we have this card. And look, we've got this one of them. It's a card reverse. Ooh, sorry for all the ons. I just feel like it's the energy releasing, but it could just be me wanting to look. Yeah. Please, you can have some cards about how they impact the collective. Oh, free. How does it impact the collective? Okay, so there's some similar cards from like both piles. So this might be like a cross watch for some people here. Doesn't have to be though. How do you align your will? How do you, well, didn't mean to say that, but how do you align your will? Why would I say that? I think let's go back to, looking at the image and saying how, you concentrate on your will into something. You are literally like the master manifester in that sense, because you've learned to manipulate it. It feels like learning to direct it all to, your hand, putting all, oops, into your hand and like directing it like with purpose and direction. It's like you've aligned it in the sense where your heart, your will, and um the idea, how would I say, like the channel, it's aligned and it feels like the cross. Where your mind is connected, like you have this idea, and your heart's passionate about it, and your will to take action is all aligned. So it creates this like barrier around you. It feels like where everything you touch, it feels, yeah, it's with purpose and intention. It feels like very like spiritual, but also like 3D, because you know you're making things in the 3D. You know, you're manipulating things in the 3D with intention. But someone that's like, you know, you've got the Three of Swords in reverse with the align your will with God. Could be spirit or anything like how it comes to mind for you. Love and peace for all, our birthright. It feels like, yeah, so aligned with spirit, like that you know when something is not for you, not aligned for you. Like it was on a path of, you know, rejections. Like some people get in a path to get rejected a lot because they're trying to like do something from the ego sort of side. This feels like very like a someone that does it very naturally. Like if you're an artist, it just like comes out, splurges out, or like musician, you do it very like effortlessly. There's no like ego, like there may be, but it just feels more like, you know, you're doing it because you love to do it, you want to make it, and you end up like making this groundbreaking music like so effortlessly. People are like, how are you doing that? And then people are missing that sense where they're trying to make music that is groundbreaking, but they're not just making music because they want to make music because they're passionate about it. It's just that they're after this new thing, which is, you know, it's an easy trap to get lost in. Like they're getting out of touch with their own magic because they're so concerned about like being approved by others. Where this person, like this energy, just feels like making music that's, you know, because I want to make it and I'm following the sound of my spirit, my soul. And you see the beauty, like the potential, you know, this little note that you found, or this little sound, this little nugget. You see it like the seed, and it's clarified. The energy you feel is not yours. I kind of get this, you know, image of like this little intruder, like trying to get in your energy, and you're like picking it up, like, you know, that's not mine. Looking at it, like kind of maybe like transmuting it in a way. You're like just flicking it out, or like someone trying to. I just get this image of flicking bogey at you. Or it could be flicking bogeys. Like it's so solid, like, you know, it doesn't reach you. It just feels like maybe it's even like insecurities of some sort of like, oh, will I be able to do this and all this? And it's just someone else is projecting on you. You're just like, what is this? And knowing it's like a small-mindedness in the sense, not in a judgmental way. It just feels like, how would I say this? That's you in a small, like just a small part of your energy, like just using like a very tip of what you potential that you truly have or someone has. Like it's not hurtful at all, like against you or against anyone. Like you know how to maximize your potential, maximize your energy, like as a human, like to bring more spirit into the body. And it feels very connected with like the mindset and the barrier of being, you know, careful what you're thinking or your thoughts are like or your actions are like. Because if you're like feeling pressured to make something for an egotistical reason, it will just sets off the alarm bells of like, okay, we need to like get this out of my system. It feels like someone's very sensitive to like surroundings and differences, like, you know, their nervous system when something is going wrong, when it's out of balance. And how do you impact the collective? I feels like with your originality and your, yeah, abilities to manifest, like Feels a lot like creativity that I feel. Could be like, you're like you're holding your own things that you make, and wow, the magician just came up on the wallpaper. But always have it on shuffle, and it just came up. But it just feels like it in the sense, you're holding your creation. I feel like I lost my train of thought. And like you imbue it with your energy. So when people grab your, like, touch your things that you make or buy it, purchase it, it's like they're purchasing a part of your energy that's made with good intentions. It's almost like a protective thing. I'm feeling someone like does tattooing and like they get tattoos from you, and it's like a protective, like, shield, almost like a signal. So we've got the Two of Cups in reverse with, I'm I don't know if I'm gonna say that. The tricretia, cretra, I don't know. It's like the symbol of three, the Trinity. And it did come out in reverse. So we've got a two and a three. I'm getting this energy, you don't see the world as black and white. You may not be looking, to have someone else fulfill your cup. In a way, like it's a very whole energy, wholeness, where you're very fulfilled in yourself. May not be so interested in love or this whole idea of divine counterparts. You maybe, but it just feels more like you're fulfilled on yourself, focused on yourself. Then you meet someone that's also fulfilled in themselves, and you become like a muse to each other, or like you collaborate with each other, or you both do your own thing. It feels less like, this is my whole life plan is to get married and have kids, and give up your art, give up what you're doing. It feels like if he's gonna have kids or get married, it's like someone that's very creative themselves or has their own thing that they're interested in, could be completely different. And you come together and you're both still doing your own thing, and they encourage you and you encourage them, and it's not like overtaking each other. And then you'd have kids and you'd both be want to like encourage your kids to be crazy kids, like the kids that they are, or like encourage each other even to be kids, like, and creative. Like you'd want someone that's also connected with mind, body, and spirit. So at the bottom we've got the Magician in reverse with the Two of Wands. This also came in a different pile, but it's like, yeah, wands again, another wand, and then the Magician came up here. You've got it in the bottom, and this whole reading is based off the Magician. So like art or like making things could be really significant. Someone here. How do you impact the collective? How do you impact the collective? You could be someone that knows a lot of like the teachings of manifestation. Some people might be more natural at it. Some people here might actually just teach people how to manifest, like in a means for like practical things like money, like for a better life, like to coach people for self-belief. But others are all out creativity, and it feels very Aquarian. I feel Cancer as well, Taurus, Libra with like the art kind of vibe, Venus. It's also Mercury is here. Someone's like Gemini comes like very strongly in the sense where I feel with Gemini. But it's like, it could be any sign. You don't need to like go by directly by what sign I say. So there is like fire, and like the magician is literally every sign in there, but it does have, ruled by Mercury. You've got the Two of Cups, water signs, got earth and air. You literally have all elements, and it is an all element sign. And with being multifaceted and like, really connected to, your mind, body, and spirit, it's like all different elements, all different parts of yourself. And like having your hands in every pie, it's like someone that expresses all different types and versions of themselves. I feel like an NGO, some people that might change their outfits and looks quite a lot, which is like a bit off theme, but like I feel like this energy can be a bit off theme, like going with the flow. Like when you're making something, you're going with the energy of the flow. You're not like set intentions. And people like may think, oh, you're a super genius, and you are in your own right, but it's like not all of it's intentional. You like you I feel like you see it like a stream, right? String, like, and your intuition latches onto it, and you follow your intuition of following that, and it just becomes golden because you're so natural at following it, like your instincts. And then you end up creating like a masterpiece, and it wasn't with an intention, no, I'm going to create this is going to be it. It's just, you're in the element. And like the monks are coming in again. I don't know if it was this reading or another one where, their brains were analyzed, like scanned, and you're going in like a flow state, and it feels very flow state with whatever you're creating or making. And it's what really works for you, and you're helping others people access it. Like being around you, like witnessing it, it's like you influence people. Like if you're in an art class and people are like watching you go, like you get people to like think less and make more. Like to get out of that, oh, what should I do? What should I draw? What should I make? And you're like just doing it, and they're like, oh my God, I want to do this too. And they're doing it with you. Like they come away with a more childlike approach, more connected to their spirit approach, like less, like more carefree and less like caring about what is happening and what's the result. Like less intention behind what them, but it's more like you have an intention, but it's less, like I want it to be this, that, and that. Like this side, this, and you're just like making it, going with the flow, with like, I want to make art. That is literally the whole brief, and then you just go on a whole tangent of like journey of making it. And you come up with this whole new piece, and other people might be like, oh, it needs to be this, like about this, or like it needs to be that. Like it's very I'm not saying it's wrong or like it's just a different way of approach, right? And I feel like you help people, get better at their own practice, say if they are more logical in that approach, by being less like having that practice of being less logical and more open-minded of change, and yeah, like expand their skills, like to bridge them both together, like emergence of both. Because I feel like there's someone who's, puts the practical steps of like practice, 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 like someone that's done so much life drawing that it comes natural to them, where they just completely improvise now and maybe like still do life drawing, but it's just now it just feels very, it comes from that experience where you draw a line, you just go with it. You're not like, oh, I'm going to draw this pose, even though I've like drawn this pose a million times and had this pose in my head. Yeah, and someone else might do that, but looking at you like, oh, I should be more like this. I hope that's like makes sense because yeah, I kind of went on a tangent a lot about art as well. I might just like pull one card from here. What is the final oracle? Oh, it was free. I'm not going to take free. I just want to take one. Can I please have one with what is the impacts? Okay, you want to take two. Follow your passion, and you already know the answer. It's inside. Look, stop looking outside. Yeah, like this is so perfect because you're following your passion, this instincts that you have. like the fire, the journey, right? And you already know the answer is inside. It's like, other people might be looking so much about from outside them of like, pleasing people, like making it in the sense of the ego of like pleasing others and looking for an idea, like with their eyes. And you're like so connected to your intuition and like the practical act of drawing. When you're drawing, it's just comes so naturally because you're following your passion and you trust yourself. Other people may not trust themselves, and you teach people to trust themselves, to take more leaps in their practices, to create these new original things because they're now taking a risk, right? Because when you're like making something new, like original for the whole world, there's a leap involved because you're doing something differently to get there. Like to achieve this goal, you need to take a leap, you need to take a risk. Because if we're all doing it the same, how are you going to make something new? And you're really connected with this energy. I feel like a rebel energy. Yeah, I think that was a perfect way to end it. So thank you